Hi Shri, welcome back. I'm really excited to talk to you again. I know we left our last discussion in between and we couldn't spend enough time. So looking forward to talk to you Shri again.
Thank you, Bhomesh. Happy to be in the call again.
So Shri, last call we had so many questions coming. I thought we should do and cover it properly. Most of the questions were coming about you know the the international experience of a sales guy, um, working model, mindset of customers in different countries. So today, obviously, I know we might not be able to cover all the questions, but I have at least few things which I would like to know and cover about all the international sales.
Sure.
So maybe the first question, which most of the people had was, you have pretty much done sales in every possible country I can imagine,
So
in
what I call as a matured economies. Yeah.
matured economies, developed countries, every possible place where people like us who are from IT, software, B2B kind of a background will go to do sales. You have spent enough time in all these countries. Also, what is the basic mindset difference you see when going from one country to another?
Yeah. The most important part is I think it's a cultural aspect. Okay, because when you navigate from let's say from Asia to Europe to US, there is a significant cultural shift, right? My own personal experience, starting from early 1990s, and I spent after initially I spent almost 4.5 5 years in the US. Then 95 to 2003, I spent time in Asia Pacific, mainly in Japan, Singapore, to some extent Hong Kong, which I did business there, and also extension to China and Korea. So, the first thing, you notice when you go to geography like Japan is a culture and language both. Okay, that's, comes straight onto your face. Okay, hey, how do you, conquer this? Okay, and that is the, bit of what I call as a bit overwhelming experience to start with. Yeah. But then, based upon my own personal experience, there are ways to handle and deal with that, in the variation of how do you in a culture. Because most people come and say, okay, if you are in Japan, then you better know Japanese language to do business. If you don't know Japanese language, you can't do business at all. Same is true in Korea or in China as well. Yeah. But actually, contrarian is true. It's not necessary that you need to know about language and still can be very successful businessman, successful salesman without knowing a language. Okay, provided you know how to navigate and get the right help at the right places and get maybe hire some few people, local people, in combination of those things, in a way you can overcome those challenges. Yeah. So that is, cultural aspect. I think the first thing that comes to your mind when you go across multiple geographies. And the same thing true in even in Europe, maybe to a lesser extent compared to Asia Pacific, compared to Japan. But then you still go to Germany or you go to Nordic countries, France. Germany and France are the two large dominant countries. So any salesperson will face certain amount of challenge, but to some less extent, I would say it's not that strong. But still, go to French or you go to Italy or you go to Germany. So some cultural aspect nuances that one needs to be aware of. Yeah.
All right. So, any experience which you remember where you could see a stark difference between, let's say, when you meet a guy in India or you meet a guy in Asia versus you went to Japan or you went to Europe, you felt a few things which work in one location might not work in other locations. Some experience, some story about it.
Yeah, let's say Japan is a very mature market, but then culture and language is a significant barrier. Yeah. But the normal, in our case, what we did was obviously we hired some local Japanese people. But then initially, there are a lot of companies make mistakes. Okay, which is you probably hire person who only knows a language. Okay, see, language only take you to a certain extent because customer is buying from you because of certain technological or service strength what you have from your company, not because you know Japanese language well. Okay, so number one criteria comes on top is always about your own capability. What is your fundamental technological or services capability that you have that actually stacks up very high? Okay, so language and culture is something which goes as a subservient to that. It's not on top of it, right? Okay, so we have we have hired people, quite a lot of them in Japan. Now again, when you hire people, what kind of people you want to hire? Because again, it's important to understand the local dynamic. Okay, so I always there's something I watch. Okay, the best people, the best students, very interested students. Where do they go? They go to, possibly they select Tokyo University, which is the number one. Everybody rushes there. Okay, so obviously Tokyo University gets the top of the cream of students. Now, once people graduate from all the universities, where do they go? In Japan has a bit of what they call their own internal brain drain. All the people, best brainy people go to Tokyo. From all across Japan, from Osaka or from Kyushu or Shikoku or Hokkaido, everybody, the best people they go to Tokyo to get a best jobs. Okay, I'm not telling because of drain. There are not much of brains available in Osaka. Of course, they're equally, because Osaka is best known for the trading company, not big manufacturing companies. Okay, it is there, but thing is, they have this kind of you have to understand when you hire people. So where are those people available, and what kind of people available for you? Now, obviously, the best people go to Tokyo. They join the big companies. Typically, their number one preference is they join the big companies and build up the career. See, it's not something where you find the floating salespeople good floating salespeople so easily. Yeah. So once you can find good people, good fit, then you have to really assimilate and help them, and be with them all the time, and provide them all the necessary support from a company, your headquarters. Let's say I'm talking more from an Indian context here, Indian company context. So how do they understand, represent your company in front of the clients? Yeah, the most often it happens when, if these people are not well trained or well assimilated, then it's very difficult for them to represent the company you represent, or they represent. It's very difficult. Yeah, so it's important that you have to imbibe that kind of coaching and training, and bring them up to speed on that. Yeah, same thing. If you go to, let's say, China, you want to hire people in China. The best brainy people in China. See, it's important to understand. Like in India, the best people go to maybe IIT. Yeah, I think it's still true, right? Best people. And after IIT, where do they go? Maybe they go to IT industry, or maybe they go to US. Yeah, very rarely, not number one choice is maybe like a high-end IT job or in the financial market job, or then maybe somewhere down below comes the government or military, right? So this is something which I was very surprised in China. They were the best people. Number one choice for the best people in China is the military. The best brainy people go and take the job in military. Number two, okay, if they don't get military, they take the best job in the government, in the bureaucracy. The third or the last is the private sector, by the way. Okay, so I think those are the nuances. I think if you go to Japan, the best people go to the big, large companies, big top 20, top 30. Those companies, they get the best cream of the people from the universities. Yeah. Of course, government do come and hire the best people, but I think they don't get that kind of a priority. So you need to understand, with this kind of nuances, okay, how, same thing, you go to Korea, the best people go and join the Hyundai or Samsung or the LG, okay, right? Those are top end of the company, yeah? So these are the variations that we have to understand how this thing works. And then come to language, of course, you can still do business in Japan without knowing language. That people do it. It's not that it's not impossible. Okay, in fact, some of the big high-end companies, they go with what they call the instant translators. Okay, there are people who go with the walkie-talkie and put an online translation straight away when you're talking. But at the same time, because there's very high-end level of interpretation they do, English to Japanese, Japanese to English. Okay, it's available because most of the top executives in Japanese companies do not speak English formally in a formal meetings. By the way, they do know English. Okay, but it's a culture in Japan is despite they know English, but they're not that fluent So their fear is in kind of in a high-end negotiations, they fear that they may make a mistake, so we may misunderstand. So they tend to speak only in Japanese. Yeah. So at that time, you need this kind of a instant translation who do that, while they're talking, you get to hear. So, but those are all high-end, it all costs money, by the way. So most of the high-end consulting companies adopt that, by the way. Yeah. So that is so much on, the language issues in a country like Japan.
Great. So what I understand from my experience also, that every country will have a different culture. I think it is a good investment of time to understand their culture.
Yeah.
You are meeting them, and I'm sure that's a separate topic which we have been discussing. We have been getting a lot of questions related to when you go and approach a customer, what should be your approach, how do you prepare for a sales meeting. Maybe we'll cover it a little later, but what I definitely understood from your talk was that every country has a different culture. But most of them are very open-minded. They don't worry about the language you speak, as
Oh,
long as
absolutely.
you add
Yeah.
value. So your value is number one, and then maybe a little bit of your local language or your local connections.
Local language required for you to socialize. When you start socializing, so obviously you need to do that. Then language will help. Okay, right? At least you can few words or few sentences. If you are able to talk, you will be able to cut the ice. Yeah, what they say.
Yeah, that reminds me of social thing you said. When I got into sales, I was a techie turned to sales, right? So people said, if you want to be a good sales guy, you'll have to learn to socialize. And I thought, okay, I can socialize, I can talk to people. But what they meant was that you'll have to meet the customer in the morning in office, and you will have to socialize in the evening with them over drinks or something, right? And they said, Bhomesh, one thing you'll have to start is you'll have to pick up drinking. And I said, man, come on, it's not that I have never
No,
socialized.
that is probably very much true in the Asia Pacific. Asia Pacific, also Japan, China, or Korea. I think that's very true. It may not be that much true in Europe and the US. Of course, it's obviously there is a bit of a stereotype image of salespeople, right? Oh, if you're a salesperson, you got to be, whining and dining on the. It's not necessary. But if you have that, it adds to your socializing capability and skills. It probably helps to cut the ice. Let's put it that way. Okay, but if you don't do it, I don't think it is absolutely mandatory that you have to do it. So it's not necessary because if you go to culturally, yeah, you go to, let's say, Middle East or you go to Israel, they are much more culturally much more stronger, and some of the things what you practice in a place like Asia Pacific, in Japan, China, or in Korea may not be applicable in Israel or in Middle East countries. By the way, yeah.
Yeah, I have survived for last 10 years in sales without socializing.
It's not a must, but if it is there, it certainly helps. Okay, I'm not telling, it certainly helps to build in overall personality. Okay, so, but is it really mandatory or necessary? It's not necessary, certainly.
What I figured out with
I
my
have, of course, I have personally indulged, okay, in my social, while I lived in Japan or in Europe and also US. So I have indulged myself in the social activities and whining and drinking, yeah, with the clients, yeah.
Yeah, I figured out some names of the drinks which were non-alcoholic, and whenever I went for a meeting, I would just order that drink. It looks like another drink, and customer is very comfortable. People around me are very comfortable because I'm also sitting with them and drinking. But yeah, I could manage without it for at least 10 years.
Yeah, yeah. These days anyway, you have those non-alcoholic, look like beer, but it's non-alcoholic drinks are available because more so because these days the driving, under influence is very, very severe of in most countries. So people, if you go in the evening for a drink, then you take something, then then you have to drive back your home or your hotel, wherever it is. So it is not expected. Okay, so people, you do have that. Non-alcoholic drink that you can indulge upon these days. Yeah.
Correct. So one major question, which is very, very wide, maybe very generic question, but I'm sure you will have your thoughts on it, is when you are making a plan. Let's say you are working for a company and you are making a plan. Okay, you know what? I need to capture these four markets. It could be Europe, Japan, maybe APAC, and US. Let's say so Singapore, whatever, 4 or 5 locations. Let's say, right? APAC covers all of it. Then how will you basically strategize? Okay, how will you go to those markets? Let's say maybe your own experience. I'm sure you have done sales or you have built sales team in all these locations. What will be your thought process? Will you say, okay, let me go and hire sales guys everywhere, or will you say, okay, let me send
No,
people
yeah,
and
that is from a market entry strategy. Multiple, different countries, different cultural background countries, right? A market entry. What do you do first? Uh, Obviously, the most common sense is to, okay, you want to enter Korea, or you want to go to Japan or China, or in the European countries. First thing, first common sense, people think, oh, let's hire some local person and put him there. I this is like we talked about in the past. This is like startup or anybody's okay. And I need to have a hire a salesperson. I got 6 months time. I want to try it out and hire a salesperson. Then figure it out. It's a wrong strategy. Okay, and I would always recommend that the company has to do very basic research, some background study of the market. Okay, what market, how you want to enter, who are the players, which are your target customers you want to target. Because typically, in our industry, whether it's in IT services or in a tech industry like a product in your space, you get to let's say you go to Korea. Okay, so let's say if you are in real estate design services, which are the five top or 5 or 10 top companies who are active in those markets. Okay, at least you remotely you can reach out to them through email or write a letter, or obviously there's email, phone call people may not, at least you have a powerful message through an email. So try to establish contact. That's one. Okay, and of course there are various ways to establish contact. Like we found out a lead finding approach. Okay, if you are in an event, it's very likely that you will probably meet some of those companies in a target market in that event. That is your starting point. Okay, start from there. Have a desk research. You have a marketing team in your back office who basically do this at desk work. Okay, because these days it's a lot easier compared to say 15, 20, 25 years back to find out your customer's background. Now today, there's a lot of tools available to find out the customer background, what would they do, what background, what are the challenges, then how do you structure your approach. Okay, what is the key offering you have that will address key challenges those customer has. Okay, so it's all these things can be done through your own desk work. So I would first thing, before you even hire a salesperson and place him in a particular geography, before that, a significant work has to be done as a background research. Only then you equip the salesperson with this background research. That will help. Okay, if you don't equip the salesperson with a background research, if you just hire a salesperson, it is 99%. It's a recipe for failure.
great. So that actually reminds me that we had a lot of questions regarding sales versus marketing, how much marketing helps, how much, let me tell you this, I was a techie doing engineering job sitting in a cubicle. In fact, I didn't know the difference between these two. I thought sales and marketing are related. So they is pretty much a similar thing. But there are a lot of people who are asking, okay, I have invested in the sales guy, and then, why should I invest further on marketing, and how does it support? So I think we'll do a separate
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think that's a big topic because marketing is an important function. Let's not ignore that. Okay.
yeah.
And also, what happens is it depends upon size of the enterprise, size of your company. Okay, service provider, whether it's your startup or a small tier, a big tier, or large companies, global companies. The marketing function is if it is just small companies or even a startup, marketing and sales function are quite blurred. Yeah, they'll mixed up together. But as the company size goes up, there's a highly evolved marketing function you need. Okay, and it gets a lot more sophisticated. The marketing function. So I know you're right. It's a separate topic. It's a big topic. We should talk about marketing, especially how does marketing play a role in a B2B services sales business in a global scale.
Sure. So I look forward to talk to you on that topic again.
Yeah.
One more thing which people have been asking. In fact, personally, I think I wanted to learn this in the early stages of my career. That okay, you have a sales team. Maybe you are forming a sales team, or you are part of a sales team, which is obviously in multiple locations. So how do you? What is the best model you have used? Maybe your personal experience when you had
Uh,
sales team
yeah, yeah.
over.
We all, yeah, Bhomesh, we all evolve as time progresses. We get better. Let's put that way. Okay, we become wiser. I wouldn't say we become more intelligent, but as we grow older, we become more wiser in managing such a multiple location, remotely managed teams. Yeah. First and foremost is that's absolutely as a boss. That's absolutely you have to build a trust between you and your soldier in the front line. When I say soldier, my salesperson in the front line. Besides, say if I'm in London, if my salesperson is in, let's say, Finland or in Sweden or Germany or Italy or France, so I don't meet them on a day-to-day basis, right? Of course, these days, of course, we talk and very frequently. We've got email connectivity. We do talk quite frequently, correct? But sometimes even just by talking, how do you figure out whether things are really happening, or your salesperson in the front line, does he have the adequate support coming from your team? So the first and foremost is it's absolutely essential to build that trust between you and your frontline soldier, yeah, frontline salesperson. How do you build that? Of course, you got to invest. I think we talked about that. How do you in the cost of sales, right? If the attrition of the salesperson is high, so then obviously you have to, it's like a leaky bucket. So you have to keep adding more and more salespeople to not achieve your end goal. So it's important that you spend in assimilating your salesperson into organization so that that person carries your organization ethos, your culture, and the services and technology and solutions what you stand for. Okay, so he has to be, that's your job as a boss to make sure that the person is fully equipped. Okay, and then there's a trust. Trust means you have to be empowered. Okay, so first thing is that's the next thing you do. You empower the person. Okay, and then of course the person also the frontline salesperson he also understands what he can do, what he can do. So over a period of time, that is that strong trust what you build. It helps to create success. Yeah, things don't work. I give an order and that person sells and brings me a purchase order. Right? Things don't happen that way. It's highly collaborative nature. Not only as a boss and a frontline salesperson, in our B2B services business, it's also about there's a huge team. There's a proposal team, there's a solution team, there's an architecture team. Everybody gets involved in constructing a proposal to the customer. So as a boss, you have to facilitate helping a salesperson effectively interact, network with your various teams. By the way, and all these teams are working remotely all over the place. Okay, nobody's working in the same place. Okay, so in a way, in our business, we probably learned pretty early in our career how to work in a remote fashion.
And pretty much today everybody is working remote. So I think this skill,
Oh,
um, um,
I think so.
everybody has to build now.
I
But
think our industry is better equipped to do this. What do you call it? Now it's a work from home. Yeah. So I think we are a lot more better prepared. Let's put that.
one more thing which came just as a reminder, because I got a lot of questions related to this. Maybe we want to cover it in next session, which is about people asking me about negotiations, contracts, how to, talk to the customer. This is again one topic which I've been getting a lot of questions. I would want to cover, in
Yeah.
next few sessions. I
Yeah.
know we are running out of time, but we
Yeah.
definitely look forward to talk to you on these topics. Thank you, Shri, for your time, and
Absolutely.
I'm
My
so
pleasure.
excited.
Yeah. One more point. I think we also, we talked about marketing, we talked about the sales and negotiation and contract. There's also another key function. Okay, if in a service business, sometimes you also have a certain platforms as a part of services these days. You have platforms or some semi-product also you integrate as a final solution to the customer. So there is also a function called product management, I think, which plays a very important role as a bridge between to your salesperson and the platform what you have. Okay, there is a product management function, which is also very, very important. We should talk about that as well. Yeah,
Sure. So looking forward to talk to you today.
absolutely.
We
My
just
pleasure, Bhomesh.
we just finished our time.
Okay,
Every time I end your discussion, I feel we had more time. So I'm sure people are looking forward to get their answers. I'm sorry if we are not able to cover everything in this session.
next
People
time.
who are watching us live, please go ahead and comment your questions. And
Yep,
our goal is to cover them in next few sessions possible.
yep,
So
yep.
thanks for your time. Looking forward to
All
talking
right.
to you.
Okay. Thanks. Bye bye.